This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back the gorgeous, sexy, vivacious, multi-talented Max Wasa, and we are going to nerd out on the entertainment of our youth, talk about movies and TV and music and so forth from our childhoods. And it's going to be a fun talk today. I love Max. She's just so positive and so funny, has a great sense of humor, and I love talking with her. It's going to be a really good talk today. And also, I said this at the end of the last interview I did today. Happy birthday to my brother Joe. He turns 50. And I'm glad that he's made it this far. I turned 40 this year. I can't believe I've made it this far. And getting older sucks, but sometimes it can be rewarding. And that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, here is my new interview with Max Wasa. Hey Max, welcome back. How are you today, gorgeous?
I'm well. How are you?
I am fantastic. Is there a lot of rain in Los Angeles right now?
There is.
Yeah. Right now the sun's out over here in Modesto, and I'm a happy guy.
Oh,
So, do you remember the first movie that had an impact on you?
yes, I do. Um, it was called The Bad Seed,
Hmm.
and it was kind of a creepy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that scared the daylights out of me, and it had a major impact. And then I saw it later in my life, and it had the same impact. I was still scared.
Yeah. Patty McCormick, oh my God, the way she played that evil little girl in that movie, she almost played it like a gangster, like she was Jimmy Cagney, just the way that she talked, to people, and just had this really menacing quality to her.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember Eileen Heckert is in the movie. I interviewed her son a couple years ago, and he told me stuff that she had told him about making that movie. Yeah, that's an underrated classic, The Bad Seed. My
Television? Oh,
the
yes,
first
I think.
the first movie I saw that I had an impact on was Back to the Future. Um, I had seen, movies, up to that point, but that was the first one that truly had an impact on me because just like a lot of people, I've had that fantasy of going back in time and seeing my parents in high school. It's very relatable that way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I used to look at my parents' yearbooks and stuff and just wish, oh my God, I'd love to see my parents, in those days.
I don't know if I would have wanted to see my parents then. It's like you have a different kind of respect for them when, they're older.
But like as you get older, you start to see a lot of your parents' traits in you, and then you finally get them.
That's true. It's
I,
true.
yeah. Like have you found that?
I have. It's a funny thing as you get older, especially as a woman.
Hmm.
Um, you start noticing that you're doing things like your mom and or whoever the mom is or mother figure that raised you, and your elders, and it's interesting to like look at yourself in the big picture and say, wow, I was influenced by that, and I'm doing that just like her,
Yeah.
or them, because not everybody has moms or dads. Some of them just have neighborhood people or communities. So it's just who you're influenced by.
Right. Right. Were there any actors that influenced you growing up?
Oh, so many. um, I was really blessed to have worked on the Miami Vice series
Yeah,
for quite some time, and um, Edward James Olmos was a huge influence on me.
yeah.
Just the way he conducted himself, how he was on set and off set, his family, his political and internal
Mm.
views. He's just a magical person and remains as one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's probably one of the most influential actors as far as the Latin community goes. It doesn't seem like he ever let success go to his head. Say like Eric Estrada, who was the first, male Latin actor on TV playing the lead.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if it's gone to Eric's head like that. I've met him several times at conventions, and he was lovely. So,
Oh,
you
now
know.
he is, but when he was younger, oh my God, so many people were like, I never wanted to work with him again.
Well, when you're young and in the business, it all comes very fast and very
Yeah.
furious. So, you, some people can handle it better than others. And,
And he had a
um, you
responsibility,
know,
of course, because he was the first one.
right. And he may not have had the right people around him. So, it's not always about the individual, but, about the people that, like a community, giving advice and saying,
Hmm.
maybe you shouldn't act like that,
Yeah. What genre did you gravitate toward the most growing up in terms of movies?
I loved science fiction. I loved drama, and I love comedy too.
Hmm.
That I wasn't. I was so busy working that I really wasn't watching a lot.
Hmm.
So growing up wise, I was just trying to read mostly.
Yeah. Oh, I'll ask you about books in a little while, but yeah, I mean, I loved comedy and horror were my early ones that I gravitated toward, mainly the mainstream ones. But then when USA Up All Night became popular, and I became aware of the exploitation films, like the stuff that you did, and of course the ones like Jim Wynorski, Fred Olen Ray, and David Dakota made.
Hmm.
That's how I developed my love for low budget films, and when I interviewed Rhonda Shearer last year, oh, that was so surreal for me, because um, I mean, I'd watch her on Friday nights and Gilbert Gottfried on Saturday nights, and it was just amazing to me, and I wasn't shocked to find out that she really didn't like those movies. It was just a job for her, you know.
Right. Well, what's funny? I never did any of those movies. Um, you know,
Yeah.
throughout my career, it was kind of strange to be considered that that's what they were. Um, they were, to me, they were another script with another job,
Right.
and I didn't ever look at anything as a category. Whether it be, I'm going to do horror film, or I'm going to do comedy, or I'm going to do drama. It was, I like this project. I like the people working on this project, and that's why I got involved. Um, I wouldn't go with a subculture,
Yeah.
and a name or anything. It's just, it's funny when people say that to me and like, oh yeah, you're very big, and like, am I? I had no idea. Cool.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you watch, that's all that matters.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was at that point when the VHS market was huge, and movies were going directly to video, and all the blockbusters were selling them, and Cinemax were
Hmm.
showing them late at night, other than USA Up All Night. Yeah, I mean, it was huge, and thank
Right.
God for YouTube, because like people stopped showing them after the early 2000s.
Well, you know, at that time, we didn't realize that that's what was happening. You know, we had no idea that it was going to be straight to video. Anytime you do a project, your hopes are it gets, you know, a theatrical release. But sometimes, you know, the people making the movie have a different route for it, and most of the time, the actors have no say so in how that goes down.
Yeah. That seems like they don't get a lot of say so of a lot of things, you know. Just
Yeah,
just like the writers, you know. That's why there was two strikes this
absolutely.
year. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, you grew up in the era
Know
of
them well.
yeah. I mean, you grew up in the era of like ABC, NBC, and CBS showing the weekend movie. ABC, you know, showed all the James Bond movies all the time. You know, The Sound of Music and Wizard of Oz were played during a holiday season each year. You know, I mean, do you remember the magic of seeing those?
Oh, yes. That was, you know, my favorite time. You know, when I did get to sit and watch TV was, you know, the Disney shows and the Mutual of Omaha and, you know, the things that were presented in a really grand way. I flippin' loved that. It's like, oh yeah, I get to sit with my family and, you know, whoever happened to be around and watch that. It was so much fun. And, you know, I remember back to, I think the Sonny and Cher show.
Mm,
I forget what network it was on, but it was like I just wanted to watch her fashion and, you know,
yeah,
Bob Mackie gowns. I was like, oh,
that was a
it's
CBS
so
show.
great.
I know that. Yeah. I was so sad when NBC stopped playing the Charlie Brown holiday specials because that was such a tradition for so long. And PBS ended up buying them for two holiday seasons, and now they're only available on Apple Plus streaming. And it's like, oh my God, it's just. It's an unpatriotic, you know, tradition. I feel that they've ruined.
Yeah, yeah. I loved the Peanuts. You know, everybody remembers that little, you know, boy with the little Christmas tree that's barely hanging on, and
Mhm.
you know, I loved them. I loved all of those characters, and it's sad that they're kind of taking our traditions away.
Yeah, it's really sad. I interviewed the great animator Phil Roman a few years ago, who just turned 93 today. Happy birthday, Phil.
Oh, happy birthday, Phil!
93 years old.
God
And
bless him.
he told me something that brought a tear to my eye. He said that, you know, there's nothing like the magic of a paint and brush. He's very critical of the computer animated stuff today.
Oh yeah. Um, Earlier in my career, I had worked in animation a bit with Max Vision Animation, and you know I was painting cells and doing you know everything by hand, and now it's so computer generated, and you know uh, the AI now are taking away the jobs
Hmm.
of a lot of the artists and animators. It's, you know, you don't even have to actually program anything anymore. It's already done for you. You put in keywords and it just, your information, your animation will come up without you actually even drawing.
I know it's disgusting. There's no room for creativity right now with that.
Yes.
Do you remember the first drive-in movie you saw, like when you went to the drive-in?
Um, oh my gosh, I think it was much later in my life. And believe I only went once, and it was Um, Throw Mama from the Train, I believe.
You saw Throw
Yeah,
Mama from the Train at the drive-in. Wow.
yeah.
I was 2 when my parents took me to my first drive-in movie. It was Weird Science and Rambo 2, double feature night.
Oh wow, two great movies.
Yeah, and when I was 3.5, they stopped taking me to the movies for 3 years because it got to the point where I would fall asleep in the back seat because we were up so late, or I would just get out of the car and start knocking on windshields.
Oh, that's not good. Nobody needs that.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I was 6, then started going again, and we did it for 10 years, and then the drive-in closed down in our neighborhood, sadly. But I loved the drive-ins. I thought they were great.
Well, I don't have a lot of experience with them, but it was fun.
Yeah. And do you have any Christmas movies that you love?
Um, I love Love Actually, which is a very sweet movie.
Mm.
Um, Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, my good friend Scott Schwartz.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the traditional ones. Yeah. Um, and newer one, Silent Night, is kind of fun.
Yeah, I I love A Christmas Story. My big regret was interviewing 3 people from the movie in 2018 for the 35th. I should have waited because I couldn't find anybody to get in touch with this year for the 40th. But um, I love that. I love Trading Places, even though it's not a straight up Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas time. Um,
Hmm.
Night of the Comet, Better Off Dead. I mean, they have Christmas in those movies. Miracle on 34th Street, I like a little better than It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, that was a great one.
Yeah.
Um, I have a little history with the director from um, Coming to America and Trading Places,
John
and
Landis.
yes, John Landis. I did a series with him, one of the breakout series that really changed television. It's called Dream On. It
Oh,
was
yeah, I
on
used to watch
HBO.
Dream On.
Yeah, that was I loved all of John's movies. Well, not all of them. There was one Stallone movie I wasn't a huge fan of, but
Oscar,
yes.
I love Oscar, and I'll tell you why. Because, okay, Stallone, I mean, he can be funny, right, when you're watching his action movies, right? But like he's surrounded by all these wonderful like classically trained actors that can do comedy well, and I'm just amazed. They must have rehearsed for weeks to get all the beats down and have all the jokes in place. I mean, it's just so meticulously done. And yeah, it can get a little frustrating hearing the same joke repeated and all of that stuff. And the music keeps playing over and over again, that la 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 la. But it's still, I don't know, an entertaining movie. I think it's a gem, in my opinion.
Well, here's a little fact not a lot of people know about that film.
Uh huh.
When they were doing that on like the Universal lot, there was a huge fire,
Yes.
and they lost, I think, 90% of their sets and had to redo them. So they had an extraordinary amount of time for rehearsal as actors,
Hmm.
and because they had to shut down production and and restart and do all of that. So I have a lot of respect for how they got it all together. It just wasn't one of my favorite Landis movies. So
Right.
he's had so many great films. American Werewolf in London. Hello.
Oh, a
Um, you know,
masterpiece. Yeah.
yeah. So but a total honor to work with him, and
I think Animal House is
Jumanji.
still the greatest comedy that will ever be made. I mean, it never gets old for me. Since I was 4, I have loved that movie. Quote every line, everything. My dad and I used to watch it when my mom wasn't home.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a little racy.
And that fire story, yeah, Harry Shearer told me that story 20 years ago in email. It's funny, 20 years ago, I didn't know that I was ever going to interview people later in life, but I used to email people because their emails were accessible on their websites then, and I would just ask questions, and I would always get replies, and Harry Shearer was one of them, and he told me that story. I was like, wow, that is crazy, and I think it happened on the Universal lot, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, yeah.
because it was a Touchstone movie, but they shot it on the Universal lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, I also love the Blues Brothers. I used to watch that with my dad. Um, even the later ones that he did, like Spies Like Us and Three Amigos, and of course Coming to America. I mean, that's beyond a classic. That's such
Yes.
a great comedy. I didn't like the sequel a couple of years ago. I thought
No, it was terrible.
they were they were long
Honestly, it was terrible.
they were long overdue. Yeah, I don't
But
know.
that's because he didn't direct it, so it
Yeah,
lost
and I just found out there's going
a
to be
lot of
a
the
Beverly
value.
Hills Cop 4.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
hope.
remember reading the other scripts for that.
Yeah, I saw the third one in the theater with my dad that John Landis directed.
Hmm.
Uh, did you watch all the TV sitcoms growing up?
Oh, sure. As much as I could.
Hmm. Like, I watched my generation sitcoms growing up, like Family Ties and Facts of Life and Seinfeld and Family Matters and Full House, but I watched a lot of my dad's sitcoms too, like Gilligan's Island, The Abbs Family, The Munsters, Green Acres, F Troop, My Three Sons, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I loved the one show. I forget the name of it with Valerie Bertinelli,
One day at a time.
and One Day at a Time. I loved that show. I loved Alice. I was little, but
Mhm.
those were the really fun shows. Three's Company, and
I love those
you know,
shows. Yeah, they just had great actors, great writing. I mean, we just lost Norman Lear, sadly.
I know what a tragedy to lose him. You know, we're sadly we're going to lose a lot of our peers. We're
Yeah,
you're a little bit younger, but coming into that age where a lot of our idols are
yeah.
are
He
going
he
beyond.
he made it to 100, and he became successful at 50. I mean, that's a success story there.
It really is.
It's amazing. Did you like the Monkees?
Um, that was a little bit before my time, so I didn't really watch that.
Uh,
But I did meet a couple of them
hmm
when I was singing for Alice Cooper.
hmm
They had come to the rehearsals, and um, was blessed to know them.
Yeah, Davey. I had a crush on him when I was like 4 years old. He was like
Yeah.
the first guy I had a crush on, and I just watched every episode. And I interviewed Mickey Dolenz's sister. I interviewed her the night of the last stop of the Monkees farewell tour, and I thought that was so nice of her. We talked for like 30 minutes before showtime, and it was great.
Aww, that's so sweet.
Yeah, she was very nice. And then Michael unfortunately passed a couple weeks later.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I also love Batman. When I interviewed Burt Ward, oh my God, that was so surreal. His voice sounds the same, and he's like in his late 70s now.
Yes. Yeah, Burt Ward,
Have
the
you ever met
classic.
him?
I did. I met him at San Diego Comic Con.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm yet to meet him at a Comic Con. I noticed he hasn't been doing a ton of them lately. He's got his, healthy dog food business. I know.
Hmm.
Did you ever watch like the TV westerns?
I did a little bit. My father loved the spaghetti westerns,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so Gunsmoke, I think,
Mm-hmm.
was one of them.
My dad watched Bonanza. He called me his little Haas Cartwright because I was a fat kid.
Oh,
He watched Gunsmoke and the Virginian, all that stuff. You know, you're from Florida, right?
yes, that's where I grew up.
Yeah. Did Florida have a local horror host when you were growing up?
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really not associated with that world too much. Even though my very first film was a horror film, I I quickly moved into different fields, so I didn't really watch anything. My parents were pretty strict on that,
Uh huh.
so I don't know.
But you had to have remembered like how huge sci-fi and horror was getting on cable at that time.
Well, sci-fi for sure, because I had three older brothers and a sister that loved sci-fi, so it was all about that in my house, but not horror.
Hmm. Yeah, because they had local UHF stations everywhere, and they would show like the Ray Harryhausen movies and public domain stuff like Carnival of Souls and The Last Man on Earth, and I mean sometimes there would be a horror host, sometimes there wouldn't be, but it got to be so huge. I mean, and this was just before Star Wars came out.
Yeah, I was little.
Yeah, because once Star Wars came out, that was it. I mean, sci-fi changed forever, and like stuff like the Flash Gordon remake and the Buck Rogers remake that came out afterwards, it looked like old stuff. I mean, Star
Yeah, very
Wars.
cheesy.
Yeah, Star Wars was the progression of the new technology of sci-fi. Yeah, and then of course by the time the '80s hit, sci-fi got dark. You started seeing Blade Runner and Aliens and God, lots of stuff.
I love Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, Blade Runner is the best, and that's Edward James Olmos is in that.
Yes, he is, and James Hong, who's also uh, a friend of mine that I've worked on several projects with, and he had done Miami Vice as well. So a lot of the actors from those days on Vice, you see again in your career,
Yeah,
and it's just so wonderful to see his success and winning an Oscar last year, and I just I'm so happy for him.
yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys. You've seen him forever. It's like, oh, that's that funny Asian guy. you know,
Right?
And I remember in Revenge of the Nerds too when he's snotty, and he has the burping contest with Booger.
Yeah,
That was
that
hilarious.
was a really really fun set to be on.
Oh, you
Um,
were in that?
you know, yeah, I was Booger's dream girl in Revenge of the Nerd too.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, I remember him getting slapped by a couple girls in this movie.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah,
Yeah.
he chases me down the
Oh,
beach and
yes. Oh yeah, Lamar's like
uh,
holding him back. Come on, we gotta go help
yes,
Lewis. Yeah, I remember.
yeah, exactly.
And then Wormser, Andrew Cassis, who I've interviewed, he's continuing chasing you.
Yeah,
Oh God, I gotta watch that again. I was like, oh my God, that's Max.
yeah, yeah. That was fun.
Oh my God, what are the odds? Um, yeah, did you ever watch the Croft Brothers stuff?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Did you have a favorite, like Land of the Lost or something?
I loved Land of the Lost. I had a super crush on the older brother. Kathy
Wesley?
is a good friend of mine. Yes.
Yeah, Kathy was the
Um,
first one to like the advertisement that you were coming back on.
oh, so sweet. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine, and I adore her.
Well, hopefully this will convince her to finally come on next year for the 50th of Land of the Lost. Yeah, I love Land of the Lost. I interviewed Sid Croft earlier this year, and I told him how much I loved it. That was the first like Croft thing I ever saw, but I saw the remake first because I was 8 when the remake hit Saturday morning on ABC, and then I got into the original when TV Land came in. They started showing that one. Do you remember the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Yes, I do. It was Queen. Um, I want to say Day at the Races,
Okay,
I believe.
that's the one with Somebody to Love and what else was on that? I think Somebody to Love was on there at least.
Yeah, yeah, that was the first time I bought one with my money.
Yeah.
Because I had, I have a whole family full of musicians, so
Hmm.
um, they were always purchasing
Hmm.
records or, you know, given them. So I would just take my brothers. I would wait for them to buy it. And so I didn't have to spend my money on it.
When I was 8, my grandmother gave me birthday money, and I got Phil Collins' "No Jacket Required" and Poison's "Look What the Cat Dragged In" on CD because
Oh my gosh.
I'd watched the music videos on MTV when I was a kid, so I knew the songs.
Those are two great albums.
Yeah, very eclectic. I've always been very eclectic in my musical taste. When I was growing up, my dad had all his vinyl records from the '70s and stuff. He'd have like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Alice Cooper, Rod Stewart, Fleetwood Mac. I mean, all that.
So fun. Do you
Yeah.
still buy albums today?
No, we've been CD guys, and of course, we go on YouTube to listen to stuff now. But we've been, doing the CD thing since the '90s.
I would encourage you to actually get a record player.
I know.
They have them still, and get these new vinyls that they're doing because the sound
Yeah.
is so much better than you've ever heard before, and there's a quality that you miss when you're listening to a CD or on
Hmm.
YouTube. It's just not the same. So actually watching the needle come down and that first crackle
Hmm.
is just, it's a memory that will live within you forever.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I know it's making a comeback, but like, yeah, I mean, I have memories of listening to Captain Beefheart's Trout Mask Replica on vinyl when I was a kid, and the Pete's Dragon soundtrack we had because I love that movie. It's my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
And yeah, so I would listen to that. And my first comedy record was Lily Tomlin's "This Is a Recording."
I see Lily, well, not so much since the pandemic, but I used to see her in my gym,
Hmm.
and she was so kind and in shape.
Hmm. Yeah,
She's very fierce.
she's always been tiny. Yeah. Do you remember the first comedy record you heard?
Um, First one, I think it was Don Rickles.
Oh, Hello Dummy.
Yeah.
I have it. I have it on
Do
CD.
you? Oh my gosh.
It's not one of his best shows. I mean, he's hit and miss, but there's some funny stuff on there. And I remember Don Adams is in the audience. He's like the only celebrity in the audience that he gets to insult.
Yeah, he was good at that.
The best. There's no one like him other than Lisa Lampanelli, who doesn't do comedy anymore.
Yeah, well, I think she got a really unfair prejudice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were very hard on her, and she kind of made her shy away from, doing comedy.
Yeah. I hope someday she'll make a comeback, too,
Me too. Anybody brave enough to do stand-up is, just way above any other performer, because it's all meter and how you deliver your show to the audience, and every audience is different. So I have a lot of friends that are stand-ups and run clubs, and I have just huge respect for them.
Yeah, I did it 10 years, and I wasn't great at it. I was good at writing jokes, but performing it, I performed in front of a lot of bad audiences and a lot of drunk audiences, and it wasn't fun after a while.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's not me. I'm not doing that.
Do you remember the first concert you ever went to?
Yes, it was my cousin had a band called Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yes.
And yeah, and they were performing in Florida, and I got to go, and I remember being in the trailer, in backstage trailer that they had, and they were doing vocal rehearsals, and I was sitting on David Clayton Thomas's lap and hearing the most magical sounds I've ever heard in my life come out of these humans.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it. I want to do that. That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, my dad had that record with Spinning Wheel and When I Die and You've Made Me So Very Happy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's great to hear.
Oh yeah, we like Blood, Sweat, and Tears in my family. Yeah, I went to. I saw Steppenwolf at our county fair when I was 15, and John Kay was the only original member. And I could tell on the 40 and 50-year-olds there, the magic was gone for them, but I enjoyed it.
Oh.
I got a kick out of it because my dad used to play Steppenwolf, and I saw Alice Cooper in 2000, and oh my God, what a showman he is! But you know that, of course.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
He's the second best concert I ever went to, next to Rush.
Really? Oh wow!
I saw Rush on their farewell tour a month after I got out of the hospital from my car crash. I was very fragile when I went to it. And oh my God, to hear 35 songs from Rush and all these visuals on the screen showing, oh my God, there's like a video of Eugene Levy talking to the audience that was pretty funny. It was a great show.
Oh man. Oh, I love concerts. I wish people would get back out and go and experience them in person. A lot of people have shied away from that, but it's coming back.
It's coming back. I mean, that's how the artists make their money now is on the road. You got Kiss doing their 20th, farewell tour, and you got Whitesnake and Foreigner doing theirs, and Judas Priest, and all these bands.
Well, there's not a single person in Foreigner that is an original member.
Yeah. Exactly. Mick Jones is not even there.
No, and the sad part about that is they had hired, brought into the band a new singer, and they wrote and they performed for years, and then Mick left, and and what was left is, the new people that they had hired, and they had worked so hard to become the foreigner, and then they sued them and said, well, you can't use the name anymore. But that makes no sense.
No.
That's not a fair shake.
No. It's weird how business works, It's really weird.
Yes, it is.
So the first book you read that impacted you?
I mean, besides the Bible, because I think that's probably the first one anybody gets handed.
Yeah.
It was all sci-fi.
Yeah.
Tolkien, probably all the Tolkien books. Yeah, that was, and I would read Shakespeare's sonnets over and over and over again. That was like my training ground. So.
It's funny.
Brave New World.
I've never been a huge reader of fiction, and I read all the Dr. Seuss books growing up. I love Dr. Seuss, and I love reading bios about old Hollywood legends. But as far as fiction goes, I'd rather watch the movie because I could just see it, even though it didn't turn out the way the writer wrote it in the book. It's like that's my way of committing to a novel.
Yes. It's true. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think now about the whole banned books thing?
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Anytime you're going to ban anything, it's a dangerous time in our lives. You know, we should be so past that, and for them to, start telling us what we can and cannot do and learn about, it's very disturbing. You can't rewrite history, and you can't, well, I guess you can, because that's what they are doing.
Yeah. And, it's funny. I found out about Edward Bernays. Every time I bring his name up, it stumps people. But he was Sigmund Freud's nephew, and he invented public relations. And he wrote 3 books that are essentially manuals on how to be a fascist dictator Nazi. The way that he used his uncle's psychiatry tactics to manipulate the masses with public relations. He got women to smoke cigarettes. He got bacon and eggs to be the all-American breakfast. He got all these Republican politicians elected and so forth, right? It's like those books ought to be banned. But yeah, I mean, in general, I don't think, books should be banned.
No, I don't think any book should be banned. It's freedom of speech, and it's just not right. It's not right.
Maybe not banning them, but out of printing them, maybe.
Well, yeah, you don't have to print more of something that's super disturbing to the masses, but I think there should maybe be some deeper look into who's buying what, because that could be a little dangerous. But
that is true. That is very true. So, did I read right? You started managing musicians now?
Oh, that's been for many, many years. Yeah.
If you told me that the first time we talked, I forgot.
Probably not, because it's off the usual subject. I have many jobs. I have many hats that I wear. I don't like to do just one thing, because I'm, I like to challenge myself. And being a musician and being an engineer and producer, it just was a natural progression to work with artists in that fashion. And, they just kept coming and saying, hey, can you help me? And just, yep, yes, I can. I don't want to all the time, but, but I do. And I'm very proud of the musicians that I have and anybody associated with Liquid Music Group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there needs to be, more women managers in rock. There was oh God, what was her name? She was Guns N' Roses manager. Oh, Vicky Hamilton.
Mm.
I think that was her name. Yeah, Vicky Hamilton. I think there needs to be more women rock musicians. I mean, managers. Well, musicians as well, but managers too.
Oh, there's lots of women managers. You think about Sharon Osbourne, and there's so many that you just we fly under the radar because we're not out writing books about the one band that we did. We're out helping other artists reach their creative goals.
Right. Now, I didn't realize this, but you were in a Huey Lewis in the News video.
Yes, I was. I love Huey.
Give me the keys and I'll drive you crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Huey Lewis in the News fan, because I'm from the Bay Area, and just like he was one of those guys, I see on MTV all the time and seeing the videos, but I didn't see this video until YouTube recently.
It's a really good one. It's
Yeah.
there's all playmates in, so that was really fun. He was a joy to work with. He remembered everybody's names and all the details about them, and
I've heard that about him.
He was a fan. And I'm in the video. I'm wearing the red gloves.
Yeah.
So because there's also Terry Weigel is also in it, and a lot of people think that I'm Terry, so I'm not.
I think I reached out to her recently.
He actually kissed me.
Really?
In that video, and I was like, hello.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I had the bass player on a few years ago, Mario Cipollina. He's a great guy.
I've done so many music videos over the years. In the 80s, oh my gosh, there was like a little group of us that we did nothing but music videos. We were like that.
Oh yeah, like Bobby Brown.
Yeah. Kim Anderson, and there was like a handful of us that did all the videos.
All those 80s hair metal videos.
Yeah.
Like Jill Shepard, she was in White Lion's Radar Love video.
Yeah.
So whose videos were you in terms of 80s hair metal?
I was the Danger Girl. I was,
Bang Bang?
No, Danger.
Oh, okay.
Naughty.
Naughty, yeah.
Yeah, so I was the Naughty Girl.
Wow, I haven't seen that in 100 years. I gotta go back and watch that one now.
If Beavis and Butthead even had a whole little segment about me from that video on their show.
I don't remember them watching that video. I remember so many of them watching videos that they watched, but not that one. Wow, that's a trip.
Yeah, I'll have to post that. It's silly.
I hope they weren't too mean to you.
No, they were all about me. They weren't very nice to the band, but they were all about me.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And it was hilarious is having older brothers and stuff. They were never impressed with my career or anything I had ever done until I was in Beavis and Butthead. And then they were like, oh, now you're cool.
Yeah. It's a guy thing. It's a guy thing.
I was on the cover of National Lampoon. That didn't matter, but...
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. What was that for?
It was like a spring break photo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's funny. Speaking of spring break, were you in that movie, by the way?
I was.
Yeah, I interviewed an actor who was in that movie and Pulse Beat named Robert Small. Do you remember him?
You'd have to go by the character, because I was in both those films.
I know.
So
In Pulse Beat, he's the little nerdy guy with the glasses who's dating that woman aerobics instructor who's like twice his size.
Oh, okay, yes. Oh, he was funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
He still is. Oh my God, he is a riot. I laughed so much during that interview, and it's funny. He made 3 sex comedies in Florida back in the day: King Frat, Spring Break, and Pulse Beat. And at the end of every story he told me, he ended it with, "There's more, but I might get sued." Because there was a lot of partying and debauchery going on those sets, he said.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
There was, indeed.
Oh, it was great. It was really great. So do you have anything upcoming?
I have a film called Dead Slate. That it got postponed during COVID, and now we're getting ready to do that. That's going to be great fun. They did a kind of a precursor to it, and it's won a bunch of awards, a little like Christmas thing that leads into the big story. And I've got a few projects. I can't talk about,
Of course,
all of them. I also write and have 3 films that I wrote and 6 series. So they're all being pitched and out, and staying busy. And then I'll be at NAMM with my bands. So for anybody who's going to, that's the music, it's the largest music convention, and it's in Anaheim in January.
Nice.
So I'll be there.
Nice. Do you like writing movies? Does it get a little tedious after a while?
Oh no, it never gets tedious. It's so much fun. Just let your imagination go, and I write every day. I'm constantly writing.
Are you a 10-page a day kind of gal?
No, I don't put a limit on, or set a goal. I write what comes into my mind and what I'm inspired. If you follow along with my Facebook, I write kind of inspirational stuff, in my float-free kind of way. It's an attitude that I live by, and I try to encourage other people to do the same. And so I'm always writing, and it's just when I feel inspired to do. So if I have a deadline, I try to get as much done as possible. But, there's distractors. I've got 50 million things going on at one time.
For some reason, I could see you writing poetry. Do you ever do that?
I used to write poetry when I was young. I write lyrics, I write songs, so, they're kind of poetic in nature.
Yeah, because you have a poetry mind, I've noticed.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. I have a couple Christmas jokes for you.
Uh-oh. Are they clean?
Never.
That's why we love you, Tommy.
Thank you, Max. Why did Frosty have a smile on his face?
Oh, no. Why did Frosty have a smile on his face?
He saw the snowblower.
Oh, ba-dum-bum.
Why are Christmas trees better than men?
Oh gosh, why?
Even the smaller ones give satisfaction. I sent that one to so many people in Christmas cards this year.
Oh, too funny.
Yeah, every year when I do the Christmas cards, there's always one or two jokes in them for Christmas.
I love that. That's hilarious.
Thank you so much, Max. I hope you have a happy holiday season, and thank you for coming back on and nerding out with me today. And be safe out there. And that event you said it's in January?
Yes, that's the NAM show.
The NAM
Yeah,
show.
I'm not sure if it's open to the public, but for anybody listening that's involved in the music community and going to be there, and stop by and say hello. I'll be at a bunch of different booths with my fans and endorsements, and
You ever been? Have you ever been to the Rockin' Pod Expo?
I don't think so.
They have that in like Memphis, Tennessee. I think in the summertime. I've known a few musicians who have been there. That I've interviewed and stuff. They say it's a lot of fun. It's like a Comic Con but with musicians, and they have like Carmine Appice there, and God, lots of hard rock guitarists from back in the day.
I know Carmine. I was in a side project with him, and CC DeVille and Nina Williams and John Popper called the CC DeVille Experience.
Yeah. And being around CC DeVille, I heard, is an experience.
100%. He's very sweet. He's a wonderful father. And, a lot of people get him wrong. But he's super intelligent, just a little bit hyper.
Yes, he's a very underrated guitarist as well.
Yes, he is.
Max, have yourself a great day. Love you, hun.
You too. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Please be safe and float free.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Max Wasa. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh my God, I love talking to her. Such a wonderful, positive-minded, free spirit. I just love her, and I love her laugh. It was a great talk today. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.